we need to discuss the Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames this season have just been absolutely horrendous compared to what they did last season, and you could chalk it up to basically a whole new team. So let's go over some of their player stats real quick. So leading the team in points right now, we got Tyler Toffoli, 73 points in 80 games. He's got 34 goals, 39 assists, so pretty good for Tyler Toffoli, 30-goal season. No disrespect to Tyler Toffoli, but if this man is your points leader on your team, something's going wrong, especially with the other guys that we'll discuss later on. Moving on to their captain, we got Elias Lindholm, 64 points in 78 games, 22 goals and 42 assists. After Elias Lindholm put up 40 goals last year, with everyone else on his line, 22 is just super underwhelming. You could just tell this season, because he's playing with completely different players, that 40 wasn't going to happen again. I would expect him to hit 30 goals this season, but they're just not going in for him. Next, we got to move on to Nazem Kadri, and I think everyone last year knew that when he was on the Avs, that was a career best. He wouldn't replicate that again. But after signing with Calgary over the summer and seeing all the options Nazem Kadri could play with, you would expect him to at least be closer to 60 points, especially in 80 games. I would expect Nazem to at least have 70, especially after signing. He got paid, so a little underwhelming for Nazem Kadri as well. But now we got to go down to Jonathan Huberdeau. What happened to this man? He had 115 points last year. He was absolutely electric. Ever since coming over to Calgary, his game has just changed. You could probably chalk that up to Daryl Sutter's systems compared to Andrew Brunette's systems from last year. But just Huberdeau has not been playing like he did last year. The biggest problem I see in Huberdeau's game this year is dude is very hesitant and will always pass. I rarely see him have a good opportunity where he shoots. I will always see him have a great shooting opportunity, but he passes. And last year he had 30 goals, so he can score, and he's made some clutch goals. But this year, only 15. Oh, man, Jonathan, this man's getting paid 10 plus next year. He better step it up. We just got to go over now to Jacob Markstrom. Had a fantastic season last year. And just like this Calgary Flames, this season has been completely different. Through 58 games, he's 23, 21, and 11. Wow, 11 overtime losses. I didn't even realize that until I read that off. That is a lot to have for a goaltender. He's only 2 wins above his regulation loss record, 23 and 21. And you could just tell that he's really struggled. An .892 save percentage. After the season he had last year, what do you have, like a 42 save shutout one time last year? It's just upsetting to see Jacob Markstrom performing like this, and I really hope he gets it turned around. I know he has lately, the past week, 2 weeks he has, but from the beginning of the season, you can't be having that and expect to be a playoff team. We're going to go over to the standings right now. Currently, the Calgary Flames are 1 point behind the second wildcard spot, which is held by the Winnipeg Jets. But the thing is, the Jets have 1 game in hand. I don't think this Calgary team deserves a playoff spot regardless of what happens. They just acted like a team that doesn't really care about making the playoffs and contending. You have a couple players that are obviously trying to do that. But as a team, it's just not working out. What happens now, especially if they miss the playoffs? Does Daryl Sutter get the boot? I think he does. You had Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau come over this season, and Mackenzie Weegar, and just not perform as well as they did in previous seasons. The amazing season Daryl Sutter put his team through last season gave him at least this fighting chance this year, but I think it's time for a new voice. We'll have to wait for the rest of the season to end and possibly over the summer to see what happens with Daryl Sutter.